Ohio gozaimasu, or konnichiwa, if it is afternoon or evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to another episode of Kyoto by Night, The Second Breath. This evening, we are looking in on Pink Fox again. She has made arrangements for a private meeting with Fumitsugu Ogawa, and he has sent his trusty servant to go and get her. So Pink Fox has a well, is your place of rest publicly known, or would you be getting picked up at your
I imagine she'd be getting picked up at some random
neutral site?
corners. Yeah,
Okay.
neutral site.
All right. Yes. So, car door opens and out steps the lady with the very big smile. She's looking around. We're coming alone.
And Pink Fox probably kind of like looks at her face, probably studies it a little bit curiously. Did Ogawa do that?
Do what? It's just you. You're not bringing your woo or perhaps Yoshi or anybody.
I'm going to do an empathy check on that,
Okay.
because I know for a fact. Well, it was mentioned. So I'm just going to see if I can read anything from that. Wow! If emotions counts, that's 5 successes.
She is, she is disappointed, and you can hear a touch of, well, it's definitely mixed emotions. But when she says his name, you can pick up on both rejection and lust.
No, I'm just here on my own.
Get in the car.
I'm sorry.
She'll get back in the driver's seat. She doesn't even open the car door for you.
Yeah, Pink Fox will open the door herself and like hop in and pull it back. Fix the seatbelt on because reasons, safety first.
Safety first. Yes. And she'll just start driving off. Probably just before you click your seatbelt, she'll already be pulling out into the street and driving at a brisk pace and fairly erratic. She actually sideswipes someone while she's weaving through traffic, so it's a bit of a harried experience.
Yeah, Pink Fox will probably. Well, Pink Fox is with Yang 4, substitute for courage. I think she'll probably find this mildly exhilarating, but it's kind of like, yeah. Considering the big thing on there, and considering she's one of Ogawa's minions, yeah, I think we can kind of see where this is going. In fact, do I have occult enough to know what a bakemono is?
You know what? You can make an intelligence occult roll.
Okay. Nope, no idea.
No.
Am I lagging, by the way?
She just nope. Nothing that I've noticed anyhow. So, no. So yeah, she looks maimed. Actually, because of that occult roll, the wound on her face actually looks fresh, like it stopped bleeding, but it's not started healing yet. Would be your interpretation from looking at her face. So, and she's definitely got some fucked up eyes. So you're hoping at this point with her driving that she's not like legally blind or anything like that. But she does get you in one piece to Ogawa's mansion. It is an estate near the edge of the city, large walled area. And she drives through the gates and up into the parking garage where there's a couple of vehicles. And she gets out and starts walking towards the doorway to the house.
Yeah, Pink Fox will like get out the car. Probably. How big is this mansion, as it were?
Well, this state is probably, actually, it's probably only about in 2 acres, maybe. And but he's very well off, is your impression looking at the place. Like, this would be like rich businessman, owner of corporation kind of house.
Yeah, Pink Fox will probably like admire the whole thing for like a couple of seconds. Try not to be so awestruck as she like trots in with this disgusting little creature with the Glasgow smile, as we call it in our country.
Yeah, she'll leave the door open behind her, and as you catch up, you guys pass through the drawing room. I'll give you a perception and Poe roll as you're going through the drawing room.
Hang on.
Let's see if
perception
you can.
Poe, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. 5 successes.
Oh yeah, you definitely spot the painting that Yoshi and Ogawa had referenced. First glance, it doesn't really seem out of the ordinary, but there's something like, almost like has a vertigo effect on you when you're looking at it, with the way that everything is angled and positioned. That's definitely the painting of Masaru's sister that the two of them had referenced.
I know this isn't. Oh, fucking hell! I've got to change the size of it. No, it's too small. Either way, yeah.
I can still read it.
Yeah, screams internally.
And she leads you through the drawing room.
Not watching it. Not looking at it now.
Don't look. She'll take you to a doorway that leads to a courtyard in the back, where you can see Ogawa's walking amongst rows of bonsai trees, and just kind of seems to be kneeling from time to time and like tending to the trees of his garden.
And Pink Fox will, naturally follow that disgusting little creature as it leads them to Ogawa, and allow them, for their part, to do their job, and report to their master that she is here, and
she'll just actually just hang back quite a ways. When you guys can see where Ogawa is, she just kind of stands there, and then she just looks towards you, and then looks over at Ogawa, and then looks back to you.
And Pink Fox just probably at that point she like bows and like clears her throat. Good evening, Ogawa-san.
Pink Fox, what can I do the honor, or what can I do you for the dishonor of this visit? I guess, depending on perspective. You're brash and impetuous. I don't think honor is something that is necessarily at the top of your to-do list.
Can be honorable if I want to. Yeah, she probably puts on like kind of, I can be like that if I want to. Kind of like, just kind of like, it's not so much like, oh, you've just insulted me. Throw the gauntlet down or anything like that. It's kind of like, I can be that if I want to, So, it kind of like just to lighten the mood, because obviously he's probably one of the more relaxed mandarins aside from the Sashi that she's encountered. And she like probably trots over to him.
Oh, I got a load of questions that. Well, you're the first Oni, and you're like the Minister of Cultivation, and things like that. And there's also a lot of politic things that I kind of need to, ask on behalf of myself and my Wu. It's a really nice garden. Can we go walking in it?
Yes. I was just tending to my garden. So yeah, let's go walking through it. Not a problem. He'll gesture for you to walk first. Make a perception alertness roll actually too.
Okay. Nope, nothing.
Okay.
That-
Yeah, so he'll
that-
just gesture for you to lead the way through the rows of bonsai.
Mhm. Yeah, which you'll probably do, kind of, try not to stand on anything, or make sure to stay on the beaten path, as it were.
Oh, yeah. What was up with that thing with, Tomei?
Which thing specifically? He seems to get himself involved in lots of different things.
Well, two things, kinda. Why does he always seem like he attracts all the negative attention from all the devil tigers? Is there something that he said?
You know what? To be honest, I'm not sure of the other two devil tigers. Myself, I am merely following my road back, providing pokes and prods to established rules and helping others learn through pain and anguish. So if it seems like I'm picking on him, I'm doing my job right.
I thought you were a north-facing devil tiger, though.
Exactly. So would I not be proper for me to make sure that I'm doing things properly?
By not doing the... What? Maybe... I think so.
See, everybody
That's-
takes a different turn with what causes them frustration and anguish. I'm not sure about you yet, though you strike me as being sweet and innocent, but knowing what you do for a living, part of me is not sure how much of that is an act and how much of that is just a natural bewilderment of your current state.
Hmm. You
With
think
Yoshi, I know
College.
where to poke and prod. I'm not quite
Right.
sure where to apply the metaphysical acupuncture needles for you yet.
Pink Fox actually probably stops and turns around and probably puts on a most kawaii face at Ogawa.
You sure you can't think of any ways to poke and prod?
Well, I don't need to be brash. With Yoshi, things need to be a little bit more obvious and direct. That'll help him along his dharmic role as well, the more he gets used to subtlety. Because they can be very subtle, the cold ones. And they have
Yeah.
their uses.
Yeah.
You should probably kind of like. I'm assuming that was it Masami or Mayumi?
Yeah.
Creature.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that they're like in the far distance, or if they've fucked off or something like that. Haven't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She just stayed back, so you can see her. So, but she's definitely not within earshot or anything.
Yeah, and Pink Fox will probably just kind of like she'll probably turn and continue walking along with the Gower at that point.
And I'm assuming that, that thing with the, it's part of your little pokes and prods.
Masami, she was a present from Yoshi, actually. She's been fairly useful. So but yes, her presence is twofold in a lot of ways. But is that what you are concerned of? Out of everything going on, you've got that concerned?
No, that's kind of like foreplay, I suppose, or an appetizer. There's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. Cultivation. I mean, the art, the discipline. I don't really know too much about it, aside from everything that, everyone ever says about the discipline. It's kind of dangerous.
It can be. The fact that Yoshi has been able to begin learning and understanding that gives me satisfaction and hope that he's going to have better control over his dark self in the future.
Yeah, I've never actually seen, well, there's only one, of us that I've seen become that darker self for as long as I've been, since I've taken the second breath. It's unfortunate when it did happen to them, but I do recall one time when it came close for me.
The Po can be very helpful. It sees things differently. It processes what it sees differently. Especially for those of us who embrace the Po for enlightenment. But even anybody should be able to understand and appreciate the Po. If you take it for granted, if you ignore it, then you're no better than the barbarians who have absolutely no sentience to their Po. You let it run wild and free, it will only emerge wild and free. If you have control of it, if you talk to it, if you let it out to play, you have a better chance of getting use of it. So when you have those situations that it does force itself out, it's not as pent up with unspent energy.
I was thinking about learning this particular discipline, in addition to the ones that I'm already learning.
It can help give a lot of insight into other people's motivations. The discipline of obligation lets you understand a lot about them, but you don't necessarily get what really drives them from within. Understanding the dark half of others, understanding where they're coming from and what truly drives them, really helps you to understand a person, understand what motivates them, gives you some control over helping them overcome or give in to such impulses. And if you get into situations like Yoshi had, where the Po takes over and you're not quite clear on what they've been up to, it gives you the opportunity to find out from your Po what is going on.
Sort of the left hand tells what the right hand is doing, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
You can see how that would be useful for someone who, redirects the Po, as, you devil tigers so aptly do. Is it what's it like to talk to it? To the poem?
It depends on whose it is. They all have personalities, just as we have personalities. You can generalize, like speaking with a dragon, speaking with a boneflower, speaking with a tiger. You will get similar kind of conversations, but just as with us, we're all individuals. Our Po is all an individual. Your Po is you. You through a different lens, perhaps. You through different circumstances, but it was once you. The you I am speaking with right now is the combination of your memories that have led you to this point. It is the experiences that you have gone through. Your Po is what would happen if we took that person and ground them up and shit them through fire. They tend to get a different perspective on things. There's not too many Poes that have a high threshold for bullshit. Most of them are fairly straightforward, except there are some that use bullshit as a weapon because they truly see the punchline of the joke. As it were.
I was going to ask about specifically, you know, speaking to your own one. I mean, aren't you like technically having a conversation with yourself?
In a lot of ways, yes.
So anything that you ask it, you kind of already know the answer to, or?
Well, it depends. For instance, if you have succumbed to Shadow Soul and do not have a strong enough Hun to be able to watch, you don't truly know what your other self has done while it was in control. You don't know what it has seen. You don't know what promises it has made or who all it has actually offended or injured. As well, dying is a very traumatic experience. What we remember of the lives before could be different than what our Po remembers, as we tend to gravitate on memories that are of importance to us. So what we remember, what we process, are things that our Hun clung to going through death. The Po, on the other hand, may have different memories, may have different interpretations of those memories and experiences too. It'd be like having two twins being raised together. Sometimes they're the same, very similar people, and sometimes they're very different. Because even though they're the same age, the same person, go to the same school with the same parents and the same siblings, they interpret all that stimulus differently. Your Po is your evil twin. Or your eviler twin, I guess, depending on who we're speaking about.
Yeah, suppose. Joke. Suppose.
I'm pretty sure that joke doesn't translate over into Japanese very well, so
probably not.
I think Fox just probably like nods as they continue walking.
So you mentioned politics. Which house is your Wu associated with?
Yeah, that's another thing I kind of wanted to ask about you.
Pink Fox says she turns back to Ogawa.
Soren said that you're of House Genji?
Yes, that is correct. There's not been Genji in Kyoto, or at least not officially in Kyoto, for quite some time.
Yeah. Why did she say that in, like, public and say, like, that I know of? You know, it sounds like... I mean,
well,
to me, anyway,
as I said, we don't... I'm the first Genji that we know of that has been to Kyoto. I know she may have been thinking about prior to the purge, when they were hunting the original House Genji. It was difficult to route them all out. And as well, you never know if anybody who survived from that time period actually are Bishamon or are Genji in disguise for their own safety and security. So, and Bishamon and Genji are not always on such open terms. Kisaragi has been most unusual for her house in acceptance, which I suspected from what interactions I've had with her in the past, and why I proposed that we find a way to openly have members in this court instead of trying to slither around in the darkness like we have in some other cities.
If you don't mind me asking, I mean, I'm only saying this because, you know, Masashi Dono mentioned, you know, there were some kind of circumstances that led to you being part of the court. And I'm not trying to like stir anything, but I'm just really curious because you're like a lightning rod, you know?
Well, it is kind of the way of both of our dharmas, but it, after being in the court for, well, some time, I suppose in some perspectives, for Kisaragi, she would see that as perhaps being a short period of time. But for those of us who aren't as ancient as her, it was a long period of time that I waited, just hanging out in the back. And then when I decided that it was the right time to take action, I challenged her roommate, who was the pre-existing Mazu Oni of the court. And I won fairly with honor in her eyes, which was how my house was able to be officially recognized as members of the court. Sometimes you got to play by your opponent's rules to be able to help them realize when they've lost.
Mm. Yeah, I suppose. I suppose now, you know, regardless of you know, your own political affiliations, you can dedicate yourself in a lot, in a way that relates to, you know, the younger generations. Because I kind of noticed that not everyone seems to be on the same page. You know, it's like some of us can like thrive better, you know, when we're put into kind of like a box, you know, kind of like that. You know, like the resplendent cranes probably are like that. You know, probably bone flowers as well. Others, you know, you kind of need like kind of guidelines, you know, kind of like you know, you can grow this big. I don't care how you grow big, you know, but you know, you can go on all kind of shapes and everything. Other people, they kind of need like, you know, and she kind of like exaggerates with her hands, you know, a lot more space, more, you know, more space and everything like that. But
what is a sign of the times that we're seeing a lot more dragons and tigers emerging on the road back than other dharmas. It is a time of change. It is a time of action, not a time of sitting back and plotting. And honestly, I think that Sosen realizes that, which is why she is being more open to changes. This reorganizing of the court, giving more court positions to running monkeys, practically, in some cases, is a huge step. One that I'm not exactly sure what her full intentions are, because I think anybody of her age would not give their full intentions. But we will see what comes of this.
yeah.
I accept any changes. I accept it with trepidation, not just because of my direction, but with my experience. You always want to be careful of when somebody's telling you to look in that direction, because what are they doing with their other hand?
Yeah. I suppose being a master of the discipline of cultivation kind of gives you, no, it's kind of like I said, you want to know what the left hand wants to know what the right hand is doing.
Well, it's good business practice. I mean, you can't, if you don't keep your finger on the pulse of your industry, you're going to have a competitor come in and take over from you. So you don't want to just assume that because your stocks are doing well, that it doesn't matter what your competitors are doing, or just because you've got a good idea doesn't mean it's automatically going to be better than your competitor's idea. You got to make sure that you keep up with all options so that you're not taken aback, taken off guard. Next thing you know, you're bankrupt.
Yeah. Survival of the fittest, almost.
Well, that is the way of
natural selection, that type of thing.
Dharmas. My dharma and your dharma both embrace that.
Well, that does also bring up something else, about the problems that the court has been having, especially with all the things that have been going on, I mean, I was honestly surprised that Kisaragi thought that, someone like me, could be considered, viable choice for, keeper of the Floating Gardens. So it's kind of got me thinking, if I'm going to be responsible for like overseeing all mortar relations and everything, I've got to kind of like expand, on what little I do have, and find a way that we can stop things like, the whole thing with the news happening again.
Well, I'm sure that if somebody has any kind of pull with media, that she will assign them for that post. I think your task, more or less, is just to basically make sure that the mortal populace is fine and we've got decent enough hunting grounds. And if we need to worry about anything like finances for the temple or whatnot, you'd be the one to look to.
Yeah.
To be honest, a lot of these positions are probably not as important or powerful as she's making them sound with all their superfluous names and everything.
Yeah, I don't really kind of understand how a floating garden is supposed to, be related to, mortals, but, there is something I think, now that you mentioned like temple things, there is something that Mazu Nishi brought up, which I think probably would be of interest. I need to speak with them about some possible solutions, but basically there's these two like temples, in Kyoto. First one is the Nishi Hoganji temple. It's just outside Kyoto Station. I mean, you've probably seen it like maybe once or twice. And the other one is this the Shinyu-ji temple in southeast Kyoto. It's up in the mountains, but basically, they kind of need funding, to modernize and everything like that. So, yeah, because I did get told that you like involve yourself with some charities, and it's kind of you can't exactly like say for a company or anything like that to say we're donating this amount of money, because it's just improper.
Well, why don't they lease some of their property or something? Isn't that what that Buddhist temple downtown did? They first had a parking lot, and then now they're already halfway through constructing a set of condos.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
It's probably the easiest way for them to get funds. We're not the Gaijin where we expect money to come falling out of the sky. We work for it.
Yeah, I mean, they do have that Kickstarter thing these days, but, you know, how many people are gonna care about, you know, aside from us, I mean, you know, how many mortals, you know, are gonna care about, you know, some temples?
Well, and that's the part of the problem in the first place. If there were enough that cared, then it wouldn't be a concern of theirs.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh.
I suppose that's something that would fall under your purview, Keeper of the Garden. If you are supposed to ensure for mortal relations, you might want to look at getting involved with some politicians or businessmen who might be willing to help arrange for whatever you think is necessary to keep these temples viable.
I'll see what I can do. I'm not going to promise anything, though, but the very least, well, I don't know anything about like finances or anything like that, so that's probably why I'm going to have to go speak to, well, believe it or not, you know, Tomei knows a little bit about how to run a business. So, yeah. Yeah, thanks for allowing me to have this really lovely conversation with you. Ogawa.
Yeah, no problem. So, do you speak with Kisaraki often? You've referenced her a couple of times throughout our discussion.
No,
You very
only-
nimbly sidestepped the question about what house you are allied with.
I kind of wanted to ask you that because, well, when Soren mentioned it, I kind of like was, why would she mention that unless it was like kind of relevant or, you know, she was afraid of something? You know, it just sounded like really weird. But then again, maybe I'm just reading her wrong. Well, that and she's like really, really awesome to look at. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I don't really get worked up that much anymore over pretty faces.
And you notice the pink fox actually kind of like somewhat small, kind of like becomes almost like a frown at that point. You know, so she's still like she's semi theatrical about it, but you know, it's kind of like, oh,
Doesn't matter how you look on the outside, you all look the same on the inside. Piece by piece, layer by layer. Eventually, it's all meat and bone.
Yeah, but I'm cute meat and bone, aren't I?
Well, you are definitely the kind of person that would get the attention of a mortal or a yang-addled immortal. So I can imagine that would be part of what got you your post at the very least. It's always good to have a pretty face as your public relations. It's basic business.
Well, I was always told I had a really lovely face. A really friendly face. Yeah. Can't think of anything else I could ask, but if I do decide that I want to dedicate, you know, a fair bit of time to learning the art of cultivation, I can come back to see you, right?
Oh, I would say your woo-mate should be able to help you with his skill at it. He knows enough, and teaching is the way of his dharma. I'm sure it would be an enlightening experience for you both.
Yeah.
you know, just the pink fox actually gets a little bit closer, and she probably not so much closer that she's like actually touching Ogawa, but she kind of like just gets close enough, and she does like kind of like the whole cutesy type body gesture.
Yeah, but you know, Sometimes you want to learn from someone with a lot more experience in you know.
Well, if you can exhibit some of the basic understanding of your own Po through the use of cultivation, I'm sure I can help you try to get a stronger, deeper understanding. I don't think Yoshi will necessarily pursue the skill for a long period of time, but he can at least help you on the way. And I'll be able to help you do a little bit more with it at that point.
Mm. Thanks.
If you want to understand your Po, do you know how to manifest your Po? Does your Po have a face?
I don't know. Closest I ever got to, it was when I went out to go see Masashi. It was kind of really stupid, but I got hungry on the way because, I couldn't find him, and I used a spirit, a Yang spirit, and tried to heal them and coax them and things like that. And, then, the red mist came down and, things happened. And for a brief moment, I could almost feel myself like slipping out of control. But, I know that my Hun is a lot stronger than my Po.
Well, part of understanding your Po is understanding who it is and what it is. That is the first step of cultivation. But if you do not know what your Po looks like, it's hard for you to really, it'd be like having a long distance pen pal or something. You can write as many letters to each other as you want, but it's not until you actually meet somebody face to face that you get to see what they are. For instance, and he'll kind of take a few steps back from you, and he kind of looks like he's meditating for a moment, and then his body starts buckling and bursting. Skin appears like it's somewhat ripping and tearing like a cocoon as a 12-foot tall monstrosity emerges from his body. This thing has like a huge mouth, like Violator from Spawn. Its mouth is just like large enough that if you ducked, you could probably sit on his lower jaw. And his penis grows about 6 feet long with barbed stinger-like pinchers at the tip. And he has what appears to be fairly large welts on his body that actually, as you look at them, as they finish forming, they look more like tiny anuses than actual welts. And every now and then you can kind of see like a little snake head poke itself out of the little assholes all across his body and then pull itself back in.
Yeah, Pink Fox kind of gets this kind of face as she that thing happens. And she probably takes maybe 1, 2, 5 steps back.
This is what my Po looks like. If you do not know what your Po looks like, how can you really understand it?
Oh, wait. Please, I'm not. I haven't said it like something like that for a while now. But can you put it away, please?
No, I will stay in this form for our visit. I have no fear of what may or may not see me, and
Yeah, but it's
it makes you
the-
uncomfortable. I am starting to understand where to put the acupuncture needles in you, Pink Fox, without having to read either of your souls. But this is what my Poe looks like, and I understand it, and it makes sense. If you do not know what your Poe looks like, how can you understand it or allow it to make sense? So when you can show me what your Poe looks like, I will help you with cultivation.
Okay. It's gonna take some getting used to, I think.
You are fascinated with beauty, but beauty comes in many forms. Beauty of despair, beauty of pain is just as beautiful as beauty of lust, beauty of appreciation.
You notice that Pink Fox, she lowers her hand like reluctantly, but eventually it does kind of like return to her side.
Probably. Suppose you got a point there.
Get to know yourself.
Okay. Tell you what, I'll think on this, and if I can find an answer, I'll come back and I'll tell you.
Excellent.
You know, when I was going through my ray, I was told of certain sects, I was told of my Dharma who, well, they're almost like your Dharma in some ways.
Yes, I've been to Cambodia.
Some in Malaysia as well. I think they're called passion blood flowers.
Yes. They are full of energy, and they are a lot of fun to party with. Though you would be a little bit more of a welcome guest than I, considering they don't like males quite so much. And unlike Musashi, I don't switch my genitalia around whenever it suits me. I'm a shower. He chuckles as the spiked tail in front of him twitches.
Yeah. Kind of thought that you would be, you know, well, never mind. Well, thank you for allowing me to come speak with you again.
Not at all. Do not worry, Fox. I will keep an eye out for you. Or on you, at least.
As long as it's just the two. Maybe. Yeah. And if you hear of any like things that you think that you know, me in my position should look into, let me know. You know, if you want, I could always try and find something with a lawyer or whatnot to, you know, deal with the whole aftermath of the thing with the media.
Lawyer's always handy to keep around as pets. They're almost as bloodthirsty as us.
Yeah.
Though I hear the ones across the pond are much worse than our local ones. But they can still be just as vicious and cold-hearted. I'm actually surprised that more of us don't come from a lawyer background when we take the second breath.
Yeah. Well, I'll show myself out, and unless you've got anything else that you need to ask.
No, I think everything's been made quite clear so far. Appreciate you taking the time to stop by. Masami can drive you back home.
And Pink Fox goes around towards Masami, but then probably stops 5 or 10 spaces, 5 or 10 steps. Oh, and to answer your question about our house affiliation, I don't really know what the others do, so I'm pretty sure that we're just kind of for the Court of the Four Winds by default. She just kind of shrugs. I don't really.
That's what I assumed.
Have a nice evening, Adawa-san. She'll bow. And yeah, she'll go back to Masami.
You ready to go home now?
Yeah, you can drop me off at the same place.
Oh, okay. You don't need to have a follow-up conversation with Yoshi or anything?
I don't know what he's doing, but
All right.
You guys
Well,
meet, by the way.
Oh, well, that's a wonderful story. Actually, he was. Well, I mean, he wasn't very smooth, but my friend and I, she says as she's starting to walking towards the car, we were out and about on night on the town trying to get over ex-boyfriends, and he seemed very sweet, and he actually seemed fairly safe. We had absolutely no idea he was going to chain us down and violate us throughout the night, and then we were stuck handcuffed to a toilet all day long while he passed out. Then he really put the screws to us, because then he called Master Fumitsugu to if he could come and take care of us. So he sent his previous courtiers to pick us up, and then spent some quality time with us to get us to where we are now.
Damn, I didn't know he had it in him.
Yes, he's a very vicious guy, and now he's playing hard to get, despite being fairly eager and enthusiastic when I first met him. But I'm sure it's all for show, and I'll be able to keep his attention. Because he better not be sneaking around with Suzu behind my back, because I'll fucking slit his throat.
Pink Fox just kind of playfully swats the imaginary idea, swats it away.
I don't think well, who's Suzu?
My friend, he brought us both here, and we were both given the treatment.
Does she have a big smile like you do?
No, she has other affiliations. But yes, so I hope it's not my face that's turning him away, because he liked my mouth before, and now I can even get a it open wider, so I don't understand why he's concerned. Not that he needed it open wider. I mean, let's face it, it's Yoshi. He's not that big to begin with.
Lol.
Well, speaking from experience, it's not the size of the mouth, it's, the technique.
Well, exactly. So, but I mean, I don't know. Now I think I'm going to try to be a little bit more coy, because maybe I intimidate him now that I am pursuing him. Because originally, he was coming on to us and we were shy. And maybe that's what gets him going. Maybe it's maybe that's why he's not paying much attention. So fine, I'll just make sure that I cross paths with him and he can just let himself get driven crazy until he asks me out.
Sounds like a plan.
She'll drive a little bit more sensibly this time.
Good for her.
And yeah. So was there any loose ends that Pink Fox needed to take care of at the end of the night?
No, I think we've pretty much done what I've wanted to do, setting out with this.
Okay. Then we can end scene. Thank you, and so